So Democrats are loving that Dick Cheney is voting for Kamala Harris, but this is an endorsement that even Donald Trump shouldn't want. Let's get to the nitty-gritty details on the corruption of Dick Cheney, and it all has to do with his work with the oil company Halliburton and his work in political office that helped made himself and that company filthy rich. Starting back in the early 1990s, Dick Cheney was Secretary of Defense and gave contracts to the oil company Halliburton to rebuild facilities in Kuwait that had been destroyed in the First Persian Gulf War. From 1990 to 1993, Cheney commissioned Halliburton to replace logistics done by the military to do work for the next 5 years. So upon being selected by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers with a little bidding, 10 years later, their revenue totaled $2.5 billion. Now, magically, Dick Cheney becomes CEO of Halliburton from 1995 to 2000 and is able to avoid paying $400 million in taxes due to the increase in its offshore tax haven. And while Cheney was CEO, he completely avoided strict sanctions U.S. had against other countries and did business with Azerbaijan, Indonesia, Libya, Nigeria, Iran, and Iraq. Yeah, totally non-corrupt countries. Cheney was then tasked with searching for Bush's vice presidential nominee and later picked himself. He was found to have lied about doing business with Iraq. Halliburton sold $73 million worth of oil production parts there, made $20 million in 1 year as CEO in 2000, had about $62 million in a severance package when he left to be vice president. I would argue that was to make sure their business thrived under his administration. December of 2001, a Halliburton subsidiary had a no-ceiling cost contract with Army troop supply and Navy construction. In January 2003, Bush was able to remove sanctions from Azerbaijan and allowed assistance to the country. The reason there were sanctions before was because of the amount of oil they had there, so it made no sense really. In September of 2003, Cheney was found to have not severed all ties with Halliburton and was still receiving financial compensation from them. December 2003, Halliburton is given yet another military contract without competitive bidding to put out oil fires, something Halliburton did not have any expertise in, but was later found to have helped restored to its full potential the oil business in Iraq. June 2004, Cheney was found to have lied about saying he had no contact with government officials who coordinated Halliburton's many contracts with the military, but in a March 2003 Pentagon email, that was a major fact-check lie. So while we went to war with Iraq, destabilizing the Middle East, our vice president profited off the war with the oil business, and Democrats are proud to have had his endorsement. But even though this war costed us $728 billion, 4,492 U.S. service members killed, 32,292 service members injured, 200,000 Iraqi civilians killed, Dick Cheney still thinks we made the right decision to invade Iraq.
I don't think you can make a case that the world would be better off today if Saddam Hussein were still in power.
So no regrets about Iraq?
I think we made exactly the right decisions.
His bank account agrees with that statement, but let's turn it to someone who agrees with me.
Vice President Cheney interpretation of the vice president?
Vice President Cheney's been the most dangerous vice president we've had probably in American history.
Thank you, Joe Biden, for your kind words. So I'm still curious if the Democrats welcome his endorsement with open arms. I mean, it's pretty fitting if you ask me.